Good morning, and thank you for taking the time to invest with me. I would like to spend this time we have together putting the case forward to you for the strategic imperative of investing in our management development. Managers have the greatest leverage in terms of the impact on our employees and on our staff. So investing in management development is not just a good practice, but it is an element where we can get the greatest return on investment. So I'd like to spend a few minutes giving you a bit of background before putting my proposal to you. As an organization, I'm absolutely sure that we care about these things: improving customer ratings, higher profitability, improving productivity and quality, and increasing our retention of critical skills. Now, whilst all four are important, what I want to focus on today is around retention. So the cost of employee turnover is something that we can actually do something about. So what I've done is I've taken our turnover data. I've looked at our starting position from 12 months ago to where we are now, and looked at our headcount reduction and the cost of that on our business. So whilst we don't have particularly high turnover, my concern is over the loss of critical skills. And if we were to retain those critical skills, where would we be as a business? What I've got on the slide for you is a short analysis of where have we experienced our turnover if we break it down into senior, mid-level and entry-level turnover. So you can see that over the last 12 months, we've lost 12 entry-level people, 15 mid and 3 senior people. So what that means is that although our turnover isn't particularly worrying, I do want us to focus on the cost of the cost of the turnover to us as a business. Now, what we often see is, why I've used an iceberg as an example, is that there are obvious costs when it comes to attrition. And those we experience in HR, things like the cost involved in conducting an exit interview, with the administration of the system to get them off the benefit system. We have to post for job adverts, both internally and externally. There's a cost involved in terms of the time involved to look at CVs, resumes, doing interviews, and then obviously the admin associated with processing an offer, as well as things like the increased value of the offer, which mostly we find is when we lose people in order to bring in equivalent skills, they're often more costly. Then there's the orientation training, just to get them into our organization. And then the admin of onboarding, of the benefits, of compensation, all that kind of thing that is part of bringing a new person on board. What I do want to alert you to, though, is the hidden costs of attrition, which is not experienced necessarily in HR, but by you in the business. There's the cost of the open position. So whilst somebody was there, now other people have to fill in the gaps, diverting their attention from what they were doing, and often creating increased stress levels. When people are more stressed, they are less productive. There's increased risk of illness and absenteeism. There's the cost of work not done when somebody leaves our organization. And this is particularly felt when we have a sales vacancy, because of the opportunity cost of them not selling for that period of time. And then there's on-the-job training with a new person who comes in, and other people around them have to start training them, their manager gives them training, and that all has a cost associated. The co-workers and their lost productivity has a big impact. So you can just assume and imagine how much that impact would be depending on the different levels and complexity of the work. So output and quality, of course, will lag as a new person gets familiar with our systems and our processes and how work gets done here. So we estimate between 3 and 6 months before a new joiner is fully up to speed and able to work inside our organization. So the real cost of employee attrition is not just the above the waterline iceberg stuff that we mentioned before, which is the obvious cost. There's a lot of hidden cost. Now, what we could do is put an analyst on that and work it out exactly for our company as to really what that costs. but I don't think we have the bandwidth to do that. So what I've taken is the research that was published by Forbes and gone, let's use the off-the-shelf estimates of the real cost of attrition. At an entry level, when employees leave at entry level, there's an estimate 50% of their annual salary is the cost of their attrition. For mid-level, that's coming in at 125% of their salary. And for senior people, it's over 200% of salary. So there's a heavy cost of losing people, whether they're voluntary leavers or they're part of a downsizing or even if other reasons for them leaving. It's a heavy cost that our business pays. What I've done is I've put that into real numbers for us using our company data. So as you saw in the beginning, we had 12 people who attracted this last 12 months at an entry level. Their average salary, just looking at the average at that level, is $30,000. If we multiply that by that 50% of the cost of the attrition, we get to the real cost of the 12 people leaving. Look at the mid-level and the senior level using the same maths. And over the last 12 months, our real cost of attrition is sitting at $1.7 million. Now that $1.7 million is a number that we can start to address if we take a proactive approach to retention. So that really is the business case. The business case is how can we reduce attrition because the cost of attrition is so high. Secondarily, if we reduce attrition and increase company loyalty, we also have the added knock-on benefits of increasing employee engagement. Employee engagement is the psychological commitment that people have to the company and to their work, and we get a lot of extra effort from people who are more engaged. The engaged people drives business results and increases profitability. So that is the business case. We need to be looking at ways not just to increase employee engagement, but also to reduce attrition so that we can impact the bottom line. So let me just explain a little bit more about what employee engagement really means. So the most direct way that we can impact the bottom line is through increasing employee engagement. Why? Because employees that are engaged are more productive. They are more committed. They are more creative, and they give discretionary effort, which means that they're giving over and above the minimum that's required from them. They think about work in the evenings, on the weekend. They come up with more creative alternatives because they're more committed to the organization and solving the problems. So the real direct way to increase bottom line is to help our employees be their most engaged. And research shows that managers account for at least 70% of the variance in employee engagement across business units. What that means is that a good manager is highly impactful in terms of productivity and performance of their team, whereas a bad manager has the opposite impact and can actively lead to higher levels of attrition. So great managers really impact employee engagement. 94% of employees with great bosses have passion and energy for their jobs. You can see the link to employee engagement. Whereas 77% of people with bad managers plan to leave their company in the next 12 months. And that's research from the Predictive Index People Management Study. Which is quite staggering, the difference a manager makes in the employee's experience and their level of engagement, which directly impacts bottom line results. So what else does the research say? Globally, only 50% of employees know what is expected of them at work. If we move that to 80%, and it's a core role of a manager to do that, to help people understand what is expected of them and how what they do links to the organization's objectives. If we move that number just from 50 to 80% in our organization, research shows that we would have a 22% reduction in turnover, a reduction in safety incidents, and a 10% increase in productivity. We can't afford to ignore management development because companies that have comprehensive training programs are 218% higher income per employee than companies that don't. So again, we're looking at management development not as a standalone thing that we feel like we should do, but as a strategic imperative that leads to bottom line business results. So development really does matter. 25% of people believe that someone at work cares about their development. 1 in 4 people think that. If we move that to just half, we would see 46% reduction in safety incidents and a 41% reduction in absenteeism, both of which have bottom line impact. So my proposal to you is that we look at increasing our budget from $70,000 to $100,000 per year in order to train 50% of our managers in year 1 and 50% in year 2. So if we took that approach where we looked for a holistic management development program, where we took all 50 of our managers through that program over 2 years, I want to show you the ROI. The benefits of putting our managers through a holistic development approach is, if we look at the same approach for all of them, we end up with a management development language for our people. We equip our managers to meet the requirements that they need to lead people and to create the desired culture which fosters employee engagement. That's the message. We can't expect them to be amazing people managers if we've never helped them learn how to. And most of the managers in our environment are previously technical people. So if we don't help them learn how to create an environment that fosters employee engagement, I'm afraid we're setting them up for failure. So we will be looking for a program with proven results like increasing direct learner and direct report engagement, increasing loyalty, so reducing attrition, and improving employee performance. So if I look at the return on investment on this, which is really the bottom line impact, if we spent $96,000 per year and we trained half our managers at a time, and by doing that, using the analysis and the research above, just save 25% of entry-level and mid-level attrition, just 25% saving, and I'm pretty confident that we'd be able to save a lot more, our return on investment would be 314%. If we repeated that the following year, we'd do another 314% return on investment. Just if we just look at saving the attrition, not to mention the added benefit of increased productivity, reduced absenteeism, increased company loyalty, increasing engagement, just focused on reducing the attrition, that's the kind of return on investment we get. So I don't think we're asking very much. In fact, what we're asking for is imperative. We cannot avoid and put off developing our managers, because not only are they crucial to helping our business succeed, they are also absolutely critical in setting the tone for their direct reports. And it is the people who they work to lead that need to actually do the business of our business. So I'd like to put that before you and ask for approval for an increased budget from 80 or 70,000 to 100,000 per year.